guys, so today we are looking at how to add and subtract matrices here in algebraic reasoning. Some key things I want to point out about adding and subtracting matrices. The first, and this is the most important, is the matrices that we're adding or subtracting, they must be the same order. They must be the same dimensions, okay? I can't take a 2 by 2 and add it to a 3 by 3. 1 by 3 to a 2 by 3. They have to have the same number of rows, the same number of columns, have to be the same dimensions. Because of that, our solution, obviously if I'm adding a 2 by 2 with a 2 by 2, I'm going to end up with the same dimensions. I'm going to end up with a 2 by 2. When we do this, what we want to do is we want to start by writing our matrices in the order they're given to us in the equation, because the order matters, specifically with subtraction, or order 100% matters. And then we're going to write each set of corresponding elements. When I say corresponding elements, remember the elements are the individual entries in the matrix. So like row 1, column 1 would correspond with row 1, column 1 in the other matrix. So I'm going to write them as being added or subtracted together, and then I'm going to solve and write my new matrix once I have a solution. So if we go ahead and look at some examples, you'll notice here I have a set of matrices, and then typically it's written as one matrix being added or subtracted with another, or whatever we might be mathematically doing to that specific matrix. In this case, number 1 is asking us for A plus E. So if I just double check, A is a 3 by 2 because it has 3 rows and 2 columns, and E is also a 3 by 2. So since they have the same dimensions, I can add those together, no problem. So I'm going to start by just setting up my brackets, and I am going to add A to E. So I'm going to write my corresponding elements, starting with row 1, column 1, 3 plus, and then row 1, column 1, 9. Row 1, column 2, 5, plus, because we're adding, 2. All right. We can move to our next row. A has 2, E has -4, so 2 plus, and I'm just going to put the -4 there so I don't get it mixed up. And then A has -2, so in parentheses, -2 plus, and then E has +2. And I'm literally just writing each column and row from the other being added together. They're all individual little math problems that we're going to do here. So 4 plus 3, and then our last one, 1 plus 7, 1 plus 7. And now all I have to do is solve. 3 plus 9, and I'm going to put my solution here in blue. 3 plus 9 is 12. Okay. 5 plus 2 is 7. 2 plus -4. Remember, this is a positive and a negative, so they're going to cancel each other out. And we're going to be left with -2 because that was the larger number. So -2. And then -2 plus 2, well, those just cancel each other completely out, right? So we're left with 0. 4 plus 3 is 7. And of course, 1 plus 7 is 8. So we just did these 6 little addition problems, and that's all we're doing here, because now we've added all of our data together and created this new matrices. So this would be A plus E. This is our answer, our solution. Now let's look at one with subtraction. Number 2 here says D minus B. Well, of course, first I'm going to check. D is a 2 by 2. B is a 2 by 2, so that's no problem. We can do that. Our final answer should also be a 2 by 2, right? So setting it up, I have my brackets. D is first here, so that's what we have to write first, especially in subtraction where the order that we subtract in 100% matters. So negative 3 minus, and then B, 7, column 2, column 2, 1 minus 5. Okay, and now let's look at row 2. Negative 4, because again I'm writing my D's first, minus positive 4, and then 7 minus 2. Okay. If I were to solve these now, negative 3 minus 7, if we put that in our calculator, or we can do keep, change, flip, keep this as a negative 3. This is addition, turns that to a negative 7. Two negatives being added together. So negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10. Okay. 1 minus 5, if I did keep, change, flip, that would be 1 plus negative 5, which would just leave me with a negative 4. Negative 4 minus 4. Again, if I'm subtracting here, it's like we're adding the opposite of whatever I have here on the right. So negative 4 plus negative 4 would be negative 8. And then 7 minus 2. So 7 minus 2 is just 5. And there's my answer. Okay. I want to do just one more here. I'm going to do number 5 to really show the importance of the ordering here. So number 5 was B minus D. So B minus D, it's the other way around this time. So let's just write our columns. And I'm writing it in reverse this time, where we had 7, which is what came from B, so row 1, column 1, minus negative 3. Okay. And then we have 5 minus 1. We have 4 minus negative 4, keeping that in parentheses so we don't get them mixed together, and then 2 minus 7. Okay. Now when I put those together, we're going to get, well, 7 minus negative 3. Remember, since we're subtracting, that's the opposite of negative 3, so it's actually 7 plus 3, which is positive 10. 5 minus 1, that's just positive 4. 4 plus 4. Okay, so instead of 4 minus negative 4, if I were to do keep, change, flip, that's 4 plus 4, so that's 8. And then 2 minus 7, well, 7's the larger one here. We're going to end up with negative 5. All right. If I can pair the two, D minus B and B minus D, you'll notice that our numbers are similar in their values, except here in D minus B, we have a lot more negative values than we do here in B minus D. Okay, so this is a signs issue. The order matters because at the end of the day, it's going to help us determine which sign we end up with, because our values might grow and become larger, as we saw here when we subtracted D, or they might get even smaller, as they do here when we took B away from D. Okay, so it just depends on which order, but you have to write them in the order it's asking for. So that is what we're doing today. We're just practicing adding and subtracting. Matter of fact, I can pull up the Delta Math really quick. So with the Delta Math up, what our problems will look like is they will give us some matrices. In this case, they gave us A and B, and they want us to find A plus B. So we're just adding these two. The first thing you'll notice is it lets you set the rows and columns. So make sure to look and see what you're creating here. Right now, what I have is a 2 by 3, 2 rows by 3 columns. So that's what I need, a 2 by 3. So I can just add another column. Okay, I am going to see if I can't just make this half screen. And we will work this problem out really quickly. Okay. So they told us we're finding A plus B. So I'm going to set up my problem. A is -2 plus B is 4. A is 1 plus B is also 1. C is -3, or sorry, column 3 is -3 plus column 3 is 2. So there's my first row. Second row, 0 plus 0. That's fantastic for both of them. 3 plus 0. And our last one, 5 plus 1. Okay. Then I'm just going to add them together and get my solution. So -2 plus 4. The 2 cancels out because it's negative. So we end up with 2. 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus 1 is 2. 3 plus 0 is 3. -3 plus 2. The negative's the larger here, so we're going to end up with -1. And then 5 plus 1 is 6. Okay, so there is our final answer. All I have to do is go over here and type that in, making sure that I type in the correct value in each box, in each row and column. And once I have my solution typed in, we can submit that, and we did it. And as you can see here, look, they have written their matrices, they've laid them out, they then combined them, and they solve to get their final product, which is what we did here. We have written them as combined, and then we solved and got our final solution. So we just put that in, okay? And that's all we're doing today. We're just practicing adding and subtracting. Key things to remember, they have to be the same element, the same order, same dimensions, and if I'm subtracting, the order 100% matters. Always write your numbers in the order they're given to you. So this one was A plus B, so A came first, then B. If it was B plus A, I would have written it the other way around because the order matters.